It's been 5 weeks since one of the worst tragedies Britain has ever seen, the fire at Grenfell Tower, which killed at least 80 people and left dozens more homeless.
Well, Kensington and Chelsea Council meets in full tonight. This is for the first time since the disaster, as latest figures reveal only 11 households have been rehoused so far. And up until yesterday morning, just 32 of 169 offers of temporary accommodation have been accepted. It's expected that the tower, a heartbreaking sight from miles around and obviously very difficult for locals to see every day, is going to be fully covered up by November. This seems to be part of the problem, that the local residents want to stay local.
Yes.
And too many of the offers are being made outside of the borough. You know, children who, a 10-year-old who's been through this experience, shouldn't then have to be forced to travel a long way to get to school.
Nobody should be forced to do anything. What needs to happen is that each family, one by one, need to be consulted as to what is appropriate for them. Some people want to get back as soon as they can, as close as they can. Other people don't want to be anywhere near. So that's why I'm saying you need to take a case-by-case approach.
And is that happening?
They've all now got caseworkers, which I think is a step forward. But we're not going to solve anything till we actually get permanent units available in the ward, and those units are available. The Labour group has identified units available in the ward, so that we're pushing now and pressing to find out why they haven't been
How come they're not being offered?
Well, that's the question at tonight's council meeting, which I hope we're allowed to get through to, so we can ask those questions and more importantly, get answers.
Can I ask you,
it's not the responsibility of a councillor to check the fire certificates or to check the standards.
Whose responsibility is it?
Well, ultimately, it's ultimately the cabinet member responsible for regeneration who needs to have confidence in their officers and the people who are technical experts.
Let's bring in more. I mean, it seems to me everyone you speak to from the council, doesn't matter what side they're on, they all pass the buck. They all say, well, not me, Gov, not my fault. I blame the whole council. What do the locals think?
I think there's an acute lack of confidence in democracy, which is why we're calling for the council to resign.
The whole council?
The whole council. I think that actually people often don't distinguish. Yes, they're people like you who...
Well, I hope you do distinguish.
We do, but at the moment on the ground, people don't necessarily know who the Labour councillors are and who the Conservative councillors are.
They just blame everybody.
They just feel the council as a whole, which we know is predominantly Tory and has been for the last 44 years, we know that they are largely responsible for the kind of decisions that has led to actually the deaths of people at Grenfell.
You're planning a protest, aren't you?
We are.
Tonight.
We are.
And what do you hope to achieve? Do you want... I mean, I know that you, Mr Atkinson, are afraid that that will disrupt council business. This is a really important meeting for you, isn't it?
The intention is not to disrupt council business. The intention is to support some of the local activists who are putting in petitions, one of which is very similar to what we're calling for. The one petition that's going in is calling for the resignation of the cabinet.
So you actually the outcome you want is for all of those councillors tonight, to just throw in the towel?
I think we'd like... Democracy has failed our community. It's failed our community before the fire. It's failed our community after the fire.
Nobody asked questions about the cladding.
Why?
We didn't know that there was a problem with the cladding.
A massive council tower block goes up, right, and is years later in a refurbishment that's costing £10 million.
As the council keeps reminding you, they kept going on and on about what was being spent.
I get it, but £10 million is spent on this huge tower in the middle of the borough, and nobody actually asks about this weird-looking cladding that's gone up on the outside.
Nobody did. The residents didn't either.
Well, it's not the residents' job to ensure that they're safe. It is the council's job to ensure they're safe.
And it's the council officers, it's the fire inspectors, it's the building control people. These are the people, which is what the judge must look at, as to who didn't do their job, and if they didn't do their job, why didn't they do their job?
But do you accept that the primary function of any local borough council in the country is to keep people safe?
Of course it is.
Right. What we've now discovered is that, take Camden, 5 tower blocks were evacuated in Camden. It's a Labour-run council. This is not, to me, a party political issue. It's a stain on all the councils and all the parties. This cladding that was put on these council blocks, it was a death trap. And no one seems to have done their job in asking diligent questions about what this stuff is that everybody could see.
Questions have been asked as to why the fire regulations were not updated in a timely manner. And the response from the government came back is, we're not in favour of increasing red tape. We now find out that red tape actually referred to things to do with safety.
But if one member of the Borough Council in Kensington had asked the question about, is this cladding safe, then these people may not have died. You accept that?
I think there are other issues. I think there are things like, why was there no sprinkler system?
But that is all after the fire has started. It's the cladding, which we now believe is the thing that caused this tower to go up in 15
Well, with
minutes.
all due respect, I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Nobody knew that there was a problem with the cladding.
I'll tell you what's a wonderful thing, and with due respect to you, foresight is a wonderful thing in paid people who are doing jobs to protect people, right? Foresight. It's your job as a council, every member of that council, to think about these things, to ask the right questions, and to keep people safe.
Why did it take Milling so long to resign? He's the person responsible for...
Yeah, but I see, I would blame all the council. I don't think it's just about the Tories. We see in Camden,
think it is about the Tories.
We see in Camden it's a Labour issue, but I also blame the Tory members of Camden Council for not asking the right questions about this cladding. It is a national disgrace that these council blocks were covered in inflammable cladding.
Yes.
It is a national
because
disgrace.
the fire regulations were not updated.
Right, and because not enough councillors asked the right questions.